Welcome back to the channel. Today is obviously a little bit of a different video because, well, I'm recording at home. Elon Musk points out that over time, the full self-driving option is going to be much more expensive. And there's a few thoughts I have about this, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to just sit down and chat with you guys a little bit about it. The key reason is because the full self-driving option as it is pretty darn expensive. If you think about the average person, the amount of money they pay for the car, autopilot, and full self-driving, it becomes pretty darn expensive at the end of the day. So the question is why? Now, I think the point here is something that Elon said a few times before, and one of the biggest things that he said is full self-driving, although it's not available completely yet, they did make some changes in terms of how it's rolled into the new system, right? So you have Summon, which, well, is going to be rolled into, or is already rolled into, full self-driving, especially the more advanced version of it, where you see basically cars driving around in parking lots finding their owners. So the question is, why would Tesla go to the extent of actually increasing the price, which is already pretty expensive? In fact, a lot of people I talk to state that the reason they wouldn't get it is because, one, it's not available, and two, it's really not something we know a lot about. In fact, if you really think about it, we know very little about full self-driving. Now, autopilot, on the other hand, is something that we know quite a bit about. There's tons of videos out there, and it works like a charm. I made multiple videos on autopilot, and I truly believe that it's worth the price just for the convenience on a highway alone. Now, I do use autopilot in the city. It's not recommended, but I do use it. With that said, I think the most important part about this is not whether you can use it, it's whether you should use it in a city. Now, if you practice enough and you understand the system well enough, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful system. But I have a chance to talk to a number of people who are new to this. They just got their Teslas and, or 5-6 months down the road, they got their Teslas, but they're too scared to try it out. Hence, for them, autopilot is more than enough. On the other hand, comes full self-driving. Now, you see, my issue with full self-driving is we don't know exactly what's available yet. We don't know what is the full capabilities of full self-driving. And this is a bit of an issue because we don't know what we're dishing out a big ton of money for. But Elon did say something quite interesting. Now, you see, Elon stated that an investment into full self-driving is basically an investment into your future. And I actually believe this. Now, basically, I think what ends up happening is Tesla still has a lot of things to work out, but their ability to eventually make things happen has been proven time and time again. They've done a really good job of saying, this is what's going to happen, and turns out to be true. Maybe not in our time frame per se, but it does happen. So now the question is, would you take this opportunity, when you're buying the car at first, to invest into full self-driving? I didn't. I figured, full self-driving is way out of the question. Autonomous driving is complex. It's very, very complex. And I still, to this day, I mentioned this in a number of videos, I don't think autonomous driving is going to be available for years and years and years to come. So that begs the question, is it worth paying a tremendous amount of money extra on top of what you're paying for the car to go out of your way for something that really, I don't personally believe, and along with a number of other people don't believe, is going to happen anytime soon? I think there is some point to this. It may help you in a resale value later on your vehicle if it does come available. But I think full self-driving is going to be something that's going to be partial self-driving. They will advance it. Obviously, right now, on a highway, it works like a charm. And with the latest updates, it will make changes on the lane changes. It will pass slower cars. It will take the off-ramp for you, and so forth and so on. This is on autopilot. This is not even part of full self-driving. So if we are thinking about what the next step is, well, there's something else working in the background. Now imagine being able to do that in a city. I think the city is much more complex. You're still relying dramatically on people. So once again, we're back to the question, is it worth investing into, well, the full self-driving option? Now, many would say that going into full self-driving and investing the amount of money you put into this has a negative impact. You basically are paying for something you don't have. And I think one way that Tesla really did a semi-decent job on this is they basically took their full self-driving and they rolled in certain things into full self-driving. So with that said, they're almost forcing you to do it. Now, autopilot is going to be something that's going to be rolled into the price of new vehicles, making them much more, well, not much more expensive, but making them more expensive, but everybody will have autopilot, which means you have a big ton of data to collect things from. I think there's a moment when we're going to have autopilot and full self-driving included as part of the price in all vehicles. Maybe not in the near future, maybe 5-6 years down the road. So if Tesla is going to roll this in later on in the road, down the road into the pricing of their vehicles, is it worth for you today to get that upgrade? Now, mind you, if you're paying for, if you don't have full self-driving and you decide to upgrade to it, you are going to get the, well, a new chip and so forth and so on. You already have the hardware that's capable of doing it. Tesla, Elon Musk mentioned it multiple times. The hardware is not the issue. The hardware can essentially handle full self-driving at this moment. It's the software. The software and the information basically is what they need to, well, move forward. On top of this, there's also a regulation. The regulators need to say, absolutely, there is you are allowed to use this due to the fact that it's safer. Now, how much safer does it have to be than people? I think this depends on so many factors. At one point, I believe Elon said it should be about 200% safer than the person, behind the wheel in order for it to be full autonomy. If the hardware can handle this, then your price that you're paying for this, you're essentially paying for a hardware that is capable of doing something that is not necessarily doing it at this moment. It's a tough question to ask, and many people do ask me this question. Should I get autopilot? The answer is absolutely you should get autopilot. Autopilot is a game changer. It is unbelievable. And when you buy a Tesla, over time it only gets better. But you don't need autopilot. You don't need full self-driving. But you will eventually think of buying it. Once you experience it, it's very, very difficult to not want it. I've seen this with a number of good friends of mine. I've seen this with a number of people that I talk to on YouTube. A number of you actually commented that once you were able to see how it works, you went out and got autopilot after the fact, which basically means you paid more. You didn't have the belief in it right off the bat. With the future rollouts, with autopilot being included in the pricing, I believe this is something that is going to only help to get more data for Tesla. So what's with full self-driving then? I am broken up. Here in Canada, now it's going to cost me $7,400 to upgrade to full self-driving if I decide that I want it. What I get in return does not yet justify spending $7,400 on a basically software and hardware that I don't know how much usability I'll have. Now, some in a parking lot where the hardware is, at this moment, the hardware and the software is capable of navigating through, more complex parking lots to come and find you or drop you off and go ahead and park itself. However, again, does that justify $7,400 worth? And how comfortable do you feel as a driver allowing your car to just, get out of a parking stall, navigate around everything else, and come and find you? It's one of those things that I don't know if there's enough evidence of this yet that it can do it. and that it can do it safely, considering the amount of differences there are in districts, in jurisdictions, in here in Canada in provinces, or in the United States in different states. There are too many variables for a AI to learn, and that takes time. It's not a small process. With that said, I think it's an informational gathering problem as well. There are a great deal of people who have autopilot. So there's a lot of information being sent back to Tesla through autopilot. But there are very, very few people who actually have self-driving, full self-driving. So I think that's a problem. So essentially, I'm going to end this video with asking you this. If you go out and buy a Tesla today, and I know you will be absolutely happy with it, these cars only get better with time. My car has gotten exponentially better ever since the first day I bought it. But if you were to go out and get a Tesla today, would you get autopilot and full self-driving and basically just have it there and waiting for you? Now, mind you, autopilot you can use right now. Full self-driving, I think it's limited capabilities. So let me know in the comments below, is this something that you would do? Is this something that you'd want to do? Is it worth the price? Especially knowing, like Elon said, the price will go up in the future on this particular upgrade. It already goes up. If you don't buy it at this moment when you're buying your vehicle, paying later on is going to cost you more. And now it's going to cost you a heck of a lot more. And I believe this is starting May 1st. Tell me your thoughts. I'm very, very curious. Now, with all that said, I would also like to thank each and every one of you for your support. I work on this channel and try to figure out what is the best way for me to make these videos for you. Initially, I was going to do almost everything exclusively from the car, around the car, or inside the car, until I realized that is no longer needed. The car and what the car can do, I will make videos, a lot of them, based on the car. In fact, I'm going to be working on a video on some of the new updates that my car has. However, for informational purposes, I will not mind doing a vlog style video like this for you guys. With that said, I do respond to all of your questions. I do make videos and react to your questions. This being that somebody comes up to me at a supercharger or on the street and asks me questions. If I think that it warrants a video, I'll be more than happy to do it. With all that said, I thank each and every one of you for your support. This channel has pretty darn good views for a very small channel. And I'm gonna look at, I wasn't sure in the beginning if I wanted to make this channel bigger, if I wanted to invest more time into it. I did it because I started this because I really, really love the car. Now that I started becoming more passionate about it, I definitely want to make this channel a lot bigger. I do own other multiple YouTube channels, and I'm pretty happy to say I'm happy with those. So I'm going to make this one another channel, which also means I'm going to be bringing out a heck of a lot more videos, basically answering your questions and kind of putting questions to Tesla themselves. With all that said, I'd like to say thank you very much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. It helps. And with all that said, till the next video, have yourselves a wonderful day and drive safe.